On everybody, it's your boy Repeat as always,
It's your boy Mike Sanchez.
and we hope you're enjoying this beautiful Sunday. Want to thank you for tuning in to another special episode. But before we get started, y'all, you always got to remember, don't say this, say that. Mike, what's going on, bro?
I'm chilling, man. Beautiful day. You know, it's a blessing to do this again. How are you, my brother?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. You know, we ain't got A this week, but hope all healthy thoughts are with him as well. He started that show last night,
Hell
so that's
yeah.
good of him.
Shout out A, man. Fresh off the stage, man.
He always shouts out working hard.
Absolutely.
But ladies and gentlemen, we got another special guest this week. We got a Boston legend, award-winning. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Red Shaydez. What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? Yes, sir. Good to have you. Good to have you.
I'm happy to be here. I love the energy already.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It's what we try to be about. So for those who may not be familiar with Red Shaydez, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Well, Red Shaydez, I would say, is a multi-hyphenated, let's say, creative here in the city. I'm mostly known as a hip-hop artist, a mentor, and entrepreneur. I've been doing music since I was a little girl, but I've been pursuing it for about the last 5 years, professionally at least. Let's see, I'm tapped into a lot of different circles out here, nonprofits, the youth, and the creative scene, and I just be doing my thing. I got a film and video background, and I'm just here to, impact the people. That's my goal.
And we love to see it. But your name is very unique. I love the actual Red Shades. I think that's where it's come from.
She's embodying the name.
That's what I'm saying. You love to see it go by Red. So how'd you come up with that?
So I love answering this question. Red Shades came about when I was a little girl. My aunt was babysitting me one day, and we were over in Hyde Park at the hair stop. And in our beauty supply stores in the hood, they always sell like a bunch of little trinkets and gadgets at the front that have nothing to do with hair. So you can get earrings, jewelry, glasses, and all that. And my aunt told me that I could pick out anything I wanted in the store that day, right? So obviously they were like these little circle glasses, and they were like red tinted. And so at that point, I had never seen that before. They're old, there's always been red glasses.
You're not hip to the new generation.
I wasn't hip,
right?
Because this was like a long time ago. And so I was like, I want those. So growing up an only child, I had a vast imagination. So I took those. She let me buy them. I went home and created another like persona because, we make a lot of imaginary friends and all these different people. I used to record mixtapes on karaoke machines. And when I had those glasses, I was like, oh, this is the newest rapper on the label. And I was like, this is Red Shaydez. And so I just incorporated my nickname, which is Shay, into Shades, and then Red. Obviously, it's my favorite color, but as I grew older, it means like the color of my aura, the fire and passion that I put into everything that I touch and approach, and then Shades just represents like my vision. So I do a lot of storytelling and stuff. So yeah,
because with most musicians, they just name themselves. They don't really go into deeper meaning. So it's good to see that when you hear the name Red Shades, you hear that something that actually means something.
Exactly.
Right. So talk about. I noticed you're doing a teen. What was it? The teen
music maker show.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had never thought of anyone ever doing that. So how did that idea become to be?
You know what? To be completely honest with you, I was approached via my Twitter DM by a Lower Mills branch librarian who told me that they found out about me because of one of my performances at a Harvard hip hop conference during the pandemic last year, right?
Really?
That's a mouthful. But that's what happened. So they reached out to me because they heard about my work with the Hip Hop Transformation, which is a youth program based out of Cambridge. So they were like, we really don't know how to approach this, but we love what you guys do and wanted to know if we could have like an initial meeting to come up with this event, this competition for teens statewide. So we had a lot of production calls and meetings and planning, and we came up with the statewide Teen Music Maker Showdown. So it was the Boston Public Library and TWHT, which is the Hip Hop Transformation. And it just actually ended last week, and it was phenomenal. It was a great event. The kids were like super supportive and happy and proud of themselves as we were of them. And, a lot of parents were happy to see that as well.
Right. And I think it's good that you did that for that generations because, a lot of people don't tell them that they're talented and they have to kind of go out of their way to prove it. And it sounds like some of them did at that show. So how, I guess kind of say, how did it play out? Sorry.
No, it's
I'm like,
okay.
I'm all over the place today.
He hasn't
Yes.
had his coffee.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So how did it play out in the sense of, the parents going like being there and seeing their kids perform like that, the spirit of competition?
So luckily there weren't any performances. It was like
Okay.
at the grand celebration, we actually played the top 10 submissions to make it. So what the contest was where teens all over were able to submit any songs that they had with vocals or not, instrumentals, unfinished pieces. And so we invited everybody to the celebration to see the top 10. So it was this great, the graphics were like crazy. So shout out to the BPL. We did this like big explosion. It was sort of like the Grammys for the teens / like
Nice.
TRL type thing.
Right.
So they got to see their names flash across. We did it on Twitch. So they got to see all
So that's
that.
it's a good platform to have it on.
Yeah, and then we spoke about what we liked about all the submissions, and so the parents were there in real time watching to see if their child made the top 10,
Wow.
and who made the
Yeah.
top 3. So that's how it was.
That's awesome.
So what kind of rewards did the participants receive for being awarded top 10 or top 3? Was it just like the bragging rights or?
No, so alongside the bragging rights, they won digital gift cards anywhere from $50 to $150 plus an opportunity to be hired as like a freelancer to produce a track for the Boston Public Library, because they have a lot of different events, and also in the library they probably need like some music and instrumentals.
absolutely.
So when you go in, they'll have the teens music, because the BPL also has like a BPL teens who specifically cater to the teens. And
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
They trying to discover the new Lil BPL.
Yeah. so that's what it was for. So kudos to them for doing that and having the guts to say, you know what, let's reach out to an organization that may know more teens than we do. And that's what happened. And we had Zoomix involved, which is another well-known youth organization in the city. We had people from ICA, the Clubhouse Network in Boston as well. So a lot of people were involved, like as far as panelists and judges. So
That is dope.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But real quick, talk about the hip hop transformation. I love that idea. I love that, centering around community involvement with hip hop. How did that organization start?
So that organization was founded by Darren Cordy and the Archetype. If you guys are familiar with him, he runs the Bridge Sound and Stage in Cambridge. He is the founder of that as well,
Okay.
co-owner. And they started that in 2013. I was approached in late 2015 by Darren Cordy just to be a volunteer, like advisor, come sit down with the kids, help them when they had like ruts and writer's block and things like that. And before you know it, I ended up being hired as the artist development director there, which is very laid back because they let me do as much that I can do.
Humble flex.
Right. Gotta get it in.
Yeah, they let me do as much as I can. So it's never like you have to do these hours. They're like, Shades, we'll take whatever we can get. And so when it used to be in person, it was dope because we would operate out of the real studio. So the kids would learn and go in there with the engineer and record their songs. They would collaborate out in
That's
the open
so
room.
cool,
It's dope. And so now obviously we've converted to virtual. So we had to, that was, a big thing within itself too.
Let me ask you a question. So a lot of times for the people that don't come from a community or a culture that embraces hip hop, they can always have this stigma of it being, non-conducive to progressive thinking in a way, if that makes any sense. How did you guys were able to circle around that to build these partnerships with these nonprofits?
Like as far as the BPL with
Yeah,
TWHT?
how did you get them to look past that and get involved?
Honestly, it was organic because, like I said, that librarian that reached out to me, like I had no idea that was going to happen. TWHT, we do what we can do, and we, at the end of every summer, we throw an end of the year showcase, and we have local artists that you guys probably know, such as Van Buren Records, all of them. Luke Bars came. They'll open up for the kids to make them feel like the stars, and we open up for them. So it's sort of like the big event is for all the youth, a part of TWHT, but you might get a Red Shaydez or Lou Bars or Latrell James to open up for them and be the openers. So that's just what we would do. But as far as other people reaching out to us this year, that was just all organic, and I guess we're doing the right things and
Absolutely.
we gained visibility. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, man. That's beautiful to be able to bridge those two worlds together.
That's I said, you never used to see things like this happening in the city before, so it's just a great look and great connection to have.
And it's good you said that because, you know, I would have never knew that happened unless someone had told me or I had seen it somewhere, because that kind of stuff really just doesn't get through the city like that. But it's like when you hear it's happening, you're happy. You know?
Exactly. And I got to also give a shout out to the press that covered it as well. The Herald, I think the
that's good to
Globe,
know.
CBS,
Yeah.
all that.
Absolutely.
So that definitely helped us, because once they saw them put it out there, like, oh, this is official.
Oh,
this is
like
right. Right.
So I'm
This
like,
is
yeah,
it.
you know.
Y'all
This
better
is
jump
it.
in now before the
I was
stock
gonna
price
say,
goes up.
yeah, that's another thing, because it's good that media outlets from the city are covering it,
Oh, yeah, for
especially the
sure.
big ones.
Yep.
And, you know, with the pandemic, we're kind of not seeing that now with, you know, these events and stuff like that. And you kind of got to feel for the kids because, you know, that's their moment. They are still getting these moments, what you said with the Teen, you know, Music Maker Awards. But how has the pandemic affected you as an artist from performing in these different areas where obviously they're shut down?
Yeah, I think I'm a unique case, because I will say at the beginning of the pandemic, I remember, which was actually a year ago today, I had like 4 shows lined up, and
That's crazy.
yeah, right.
Trust me, we're all getting Snapchat memories, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's a year ago today that I remember being on like 10 different calls, like, everything's shutting down. Like, it's shut. It's over. It's canceled. And I'm like, wait, I'm like, what? What happened?
I remember my first time walking down the street, like after this really took off.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Yo, this is like straight out of a movie.
It was Black Mirror.
I don't know if Mother Nature was aligned with this or something, but it was like cloudy,
She
zombie
got
weather.
pissed.
It was apocalypse. It was the yeah, it was crazy. So that's what happened for me at the beginning, right? And so obviously I lost a little bit of revenue because of that. And so, you know, luckily, like I said, my situation, I have a day job. I'm an executive producer for actually a podcast at like a tech company, right?
Oh, nice.
So
There you
that's what
go.
I do on the day job. So I had sort of that cushion. I know that's not the same for everybody else. So while, you know, I was looking forward to the supplemental income that I get from being a rapper, I wasn't hurt as bad. But then as the months went on, I was like, okay, I'm not getting as many extras as I'm accustomed to or used to, right? But then as things started to change right around the time I dropped my album Feel the Aura, so this was last summer, and I think it put me in a different type of bracket, and I also gained visibility as Red Shaydez when I did that. So things started to pick back up for me, and I'm actually doing more well off now than I was before the pandemic, which is funny to see how things shifted.
Right. Talk about Feel the Aura, is that correct?
Yeah.
I've read that it's your 3rd studio album, or I should say album.
Yeah,
for the studio.
it's the 3rd project, but it's the second album in my trilogy. So I think Magnetic Aura was the first. Chillin' in the Shade EP was a standalone. Feel the Aura was the second in the installment
I like
series.
that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then the last one will be I Am the Aura.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I think that's another trend we're starting to see in hip hop and rap more specifically is artists not, you know, creating another piece like you said with your EP, but, you know, sticking to like the main thing that, you know, they cherish the most. Like you said with your Aura series, you know, like you said, all these different rappers are dropping, you know, from culture to everything to, you know, it's just
Hip hop is known for
evolving,
doing
yeah.
conceptual things like that. I get that from my 90s people I look up to.
Right.
So I'm just following their footsteps.
And I
yeah.
think it's a good trend because if people really, you know, like that first album, then they are probably going to really like the second because it's a continuation of the creative work of that first album.
Yeah, and everything's like a production for me, like I said, with the vision and shades and showing my perspective on things. So everything's gonna be conceptual when it comes to album time.
Right.
My Lucy's are where I just, you know, say whatever, talking trash.
Hey.
Like, yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. I feel like a lot of artists have been almost shying away from the conceptual album, you know, and it's just like a playlist.
Yeah,
But
because
then-
people don't really, they say that, you know, the listeners don't really care about full-length albums anymore. It's the
That's
singles
bullshit.
and it's microwavable. But, you know, I think it really depends on what type of fan you are. You
Exactly.
know,
Right.
I'm still going to do it regardless. You can listen to it or
Exactly.
Amen to
pick the
that.
single, yeah.
Amen to that.
I still like Food and Liquor too.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Lupe?
Like, I love
yeah, I
that.
love
Lupe,
that.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
But see, that's another good example because I was actually listening to the Lasers the other day.
Oh, okay.
So it's good that, you know, he's got
You know,
Well,
he
already
actually
if I-
he actually like took a lot of flack for that one because he like stepped out and did something so out of
I love it.
out of his
Experimental,
box.
I
yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I feel like it's very inspirational. He's always had that like inspirational, I'm against the system kind of like
Always.
vibe.
And there's a lot on that album. It's Words I Never Said. That's a big one. That's that's like, against the system like that. So what is the Aura series, and I should say, what's the meaning behind it?
Yeah, great question. So when I first dropped Magnetic Aura in 2016, which took almost 5 years to make, just from inconsistency and personal life going on.
Right.
I was in college, and then I graduated. I was a private flight attendant. So
Real quick, where'd you graduate?
Fitchburg State University.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great university.
Yeah, and so I would dabble in and out of the music, and so I think I'm also an artist that I have to experience things before I can make a full body of work. I can't force it. It has to all be organic. So Magnetic Aura represents the energy that people say I exude when they meet me. A lot of people say they feel comfortable, safe, just chill, calm, and so that's what they would say. You can make the crowd gravitate towards you. So I'm like, all right, so that's my aura, then it's magnetic. So I'm like, okay, let's explain all of the different facets of Red Shades. And I think my underlying theme with Magnetic Aura was being multidimensional. So yeah, I may talk about this and fighting for the people, but then also I'm partying on Catch a Vibe.
Don't put me in a box.
Yeah,
Right.
well, not even that, Willie. You could, because I know artists hate that. They're like, no, I can. Yeah, I do want you to see that I could do all these different styles, but it was more, I'm so private, like online, but I'm so vulnerable and an open book in my music. So if you had any questions, any doubts, it's proof's in the pudding. You could listen to the album. So, yeah.
Because it's another way for people to listen to you and to really listen to you.
And if you want to learn who I am, and so Magnetic Aura was the introduction into who I was, and Feel the Aura, I felt like I came into my own more. So now it's like, I'm here. I've arrived. Feel it.
Right.
Yeah, gravitate towards this energy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So you said something about like, you took 5 years to conceptualize this idea, which is really dope. It stood out to me because a lot of people, like, 5 months go by and they're like, I kind of don't want to pick this up anymore. You traveled the world being a private flight attendant. So talk about how you found it in yourself to stay grounded and finish the concept.
Honestly, I got to give a big shout out to my father and then also my friends that I actually met at FSU, because it was sort of them that was pushing me to pursue this more than I wanted it. Like, I'm an artist and an individual that suffers from social anxiety. So although people can't tell when I perform and when I do things, like, it takes a lot for me to be able to do what I do, because I'm used to just staying to myself and
only child.
Only child, and I'm used to, like, I'll come alive like with my chosen few. I don't need all this attention, but I seem to always get it, even though it's unwarranted. You know what I mean? So I have to take a lot of breaks to, like, rejuvenate and stuff like that.
It's necessary.
Yeah, it's very necessary, and I talk about that a lot in my work, but yeah, I think that once they pushed me to actually pursue it at least once, I said, okay, let me get my business acumen up. Let me really learn the industry. And if I'm going to be serious about being an independent musician, let me figure out what I need to do to gain more traction. Because when you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, you're not going to really get the maximum results that you're looking for.
You need both feet. You need to dive.
You know what I mean? And I felt like my name was swimming around the city a little bit here and there at the time.
Yep.
But because people couldn't really put a face to the name or knew who I was, what I stood for, it wasn't really connecting. And so oftentimes I would hear artists blame everybody but themselves for that. But I'm probably the only one you'll hear that I was like, no, it was me. I know what I was doing. I would sort of go and try to get, some traction and then pull back because I kind of didn't want it. Like, I really don't.
You got
care
that.
for the fame.
You got that Andre 3000 in you. Like,
no, exactly.
Andre 3000 is.
You hit it on the nail.
In my opinion, one of, like, technical wise, like skill wise, a lot of people can't mess with him. But he shied away from it because he's like, I don't want all this that comes with it. I just love music.
I love that. Is like a great journalist input that you just had.
Look
right
at
there.
that.
Because I watched,
boy.
because I watched a short, without straying away too much, I watched a short, like, documentary on him, and they specifically were highlighting, like, that he has social anxiety too. And I identified so much with him. He's like, not that, I feel bad about myself, but you guys tell me I'm this great, uber talented person, but, like, I don't really see what y'all are talking about.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
so because of that, he just dresses up in baggy clothes. He'll play instruments on the street. People are going crazy about him, and he's still like, oh, okay. Like,
Thanks.
you know?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, people are arguing about his place on the top 10 online. You know,
literally.
he could care less. So for me, that's kind of what it is. It's like there's some days where I'm like, okay, I got to remember who's this person I created, Red Shaydez. All right, let me go out here. You know, I forget how people view me. You know, at the same time, I don't care. But it's that internal battle all the time. So once that happened, I was like, all right, I'll do it this one last time. I put out a song and video called Serena Williams, and then things just sort of took off from there. And that was 2016.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've been
that's
going
super
steady,
dope.
you know, ever since. then,
I'd
pretty
say
much.
that's when I started pursuing it professionally. I've been rapping since I was 7.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
What? So that's actually a really young age to start rapping. So do you remember like your earliest memory rapping? Like even if it's not as Red Shaydez, but like as
Oh yeah.
you know, the young
My
girl
father
growing
was
up
in
like
a
that.
rap group, so like I literally this was gonna be my path regardless. I think
Right.
it was written in the stars. I was in the studios with
Love
him.
that.
When they were promoting on the streets of Boston, this is like circa 97.
What's his rap group?
It was the Killing Field. It was Killing Field. Like and so I was running around with him and doing all that, and I would see him like be in videos doing this, and so I was like,
that's dope.
I was like,
gravitate
I want to
toward that.
do that too. I did, and I wanted to emulate my dad, and so when he finally told me he quit music, I was like, no, I felt so bad, and so I pretty much carried the torch.
Word.
Love that,
That's so
you know.
dope. Is that somebody that you still look for feedback on, like whenever you're writing something, got an unfinished project or something?
So at all my musical decisions, so not so much the write anymore, because he at the beginning he was like, rap about content that means something to you, because I used to mimic what I heard, which was gangster rap, and I didn't really have any experience to rap about anything. So once he saw I had my own subject matter, he sort of just played the back and would sponsor all my studio sessions and give me sound advice. Today you can hear him on all my projects under the Pep Talk interludes. He's on every single one, and so that same advice he's giving me on those is like real advice that he gives me on a day-to-day basis. Like if some deal comes in my inbox and I'm kind of weighing out my options, he's the first person I'm calling to
That's
make sure
awesome.
if it's a good opportunity.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's good to, have that foundation still with you and always guiding you like that. I think, that's very sweet. I'm almost
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
wow.
I'm a daddy's
Make me say
girl.
it. No, absolutely. Because
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
because a lot of rappers and musicians or anyone in the creative field, I wouldn't say the majority, but a good amount of them didn't have. They're the first of their kind, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to finally talk to someone who's carrying a torch and who has been around it their whole life. Because we've talked to a lot of people, but it really doesn't seem that someone has had that person in their life that was doing this before them.
Yeah, I call him my advisor.
Oh,
He's my
absolutely.
advisor.
Absolutely.
No, I think it's just because of that stigma, that hip hop carries. Unfortunately, people
Mm-hmm.
that are spoon fed hip hop, that don't seek it, they have this, it's only about violence and
Yeah.
stuff that I really don't want to hear. But it is what it is, man. There's really good talent. There's really good content out there, but you just have to look for it on your
And
own.
I think it's all subjective. It's what
Yeah.
you like. Because
Yeah,
there's no,
exactly.
if you're a person that all you like is trap, that's fine.
Yeah.
Listen, find your trap artists and do that. But don't be like, oh, there's no other good music out here. There's not. If you didn't look, there's tons.
Yeah.
Literally, if you like, I want to listen to lo-fi, look up lo-fi hip hop artists.
Yeah.
You'll find them.
I might do that because I like the beats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
The
I
beats like
keep, I
that.
keep a lo-fi playlist for like my homework.
should
and
start-
stuff
I
like
should
that.
start doing that,
See,
bro.
study music. That's sound therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I do that all the time.
I started getting into like the whole like vibrations thing. Like, so there's apparently like certain hertz and
Hertz
certain,
music. What
I-
frequency do you be on?
So I just started dabbling on it.
Okay.
I don't know too much, but I do have to say, like, when I've gone in there, like, yo, I'm a little anxious right now. I just need something to like help me get through this. It works.
It does.
I don't know if it's like my predisposition of it, like going into it, like, oh, this is definitely gonna work, but it works.
It's all of it.
Yeah, I've heard,
Placebo
like,
or not,
432,
like, yep.
432.
The 500s.
Yep.
I think the 700s is like deep sleep.
Yeah.
Like if you need help winding down and going to sleep. But see, that's what the aura is all about.
Yeah,
that's what
word. That's
the spirituality and
So y'all
more
gotta explain that
self-awareness.
to me because I never heard it before. I literally,
We
this is
started
awesome.
going
You know what I'm
off on-
saying? I'm just sitting there like, interesting. So yeah, what is Hertz music?
So it's like this. It's a part of sound therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So like how there's aromatherapy and like you light incense and you can burn sage, and so that's the same thing for sound. And so there's like these different levels of hertz. So there's like I've never listened to anything in like I never saw anything in 200s, but let's just say
that's like super deep.
Yeah,
It's super deep.
and it's low. So like, okay, 432 hertz, right? That might be study music, calm. You're able to concentrate, right? 500 when it starts getting up there, that gets a little deeper, and then. From what I know, because I have a playlist I'll show you guys later on my Spotify, when I have some trouble going to sleep, I listen to around 730 something hertz music, and I put it on my Bluetooth speaker and like knock out.
Okay. Yeah, because I've never experienced that like at all. Like I said, lo-fi beats.
Yeah.
I follow, a couple pages on Instagram, and that kind of calms me down. I know certain songs do, but I've never thought of that in a therapeutic sense.
No, for sure. But it's good that you said that you can relate to the whole I want to listen to lo-fi because it makes me feel this way. So it's the same concept.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
the same concept.
And they also call it binaural music too. So like if you don't find but you could literally just on Google type hertz music for anything. So if you walk out of here,
manifesting,
God forbid, pissed today, put angry, trying to,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
calm.
crazy.
I need music to calm me down. Put calm. Yeah.
Right.
Study. I can't concentrate. Anxiety music. Like, yeah.
And it's all like instrumentation.
Yeah. No vocals.
Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be no vocals because I feel like instruments kind of hit harder than vocals. Like, yeah, you can have good, vocals and stuff like that. But if you're someone who's like skilled with, like a violin or like a piano, you gotta.
I agree. I feel like sometimes those instruments say more than a mouth can.
They definitely do, because sometimes you don't want to think. Our whole purpose is we're trying to wind down, so I don't want to have to dissect lyrics while I'm trying to wind down.
Never
I just want to hear
I want
to hear the music. Well, now obviously there are certain songs that, oh my gosh, it could put you in this certain place, but I like sound.
You want to just
lot.
hear the violin go off, and I actually can relate to that heavy because this is kind of a song that relaxes me. I just like it because it's flashing lights on a violin. I don't know.
By Kanye West, like they did it violin.
This older lady, she's obviously been playing for a while. She got hired at like Saks Fifth Ave, and this is back like 4 years ago, I think in 2017. And I saw the video, and she's just going off on this violin playing flashing lights. And that song's already like kind of a common like vibe like that. But if she's like nailing these violin strokes and like just putting me to sleep, I'm like, damn.
If you like that type of music, there's this guy that goes by Terrence Martin. I think he was associated with Top Dog Entertainment. He did some producing for Pimp the Butterfly, but he did an album doing 808 and Heartbreaks just with a saxophone. He's super,
it's
super
all
talented.
connected. Like I was telling you guys earlier, the more tapped in you're in to the universe and everything that it offers, it's all connected. It's just about your knowledge on it or not.
Exactly.
And
we got to talk about that tapped in thing because that's how we discovered you with our last guest or one of our former guests, Amanda Shea. Absolutely great personality.
Shout out to Amanda Shea.
Absolutely.
Love her energy.
So how did you two meet, if you don't mind me asking, with you and Amanda?
Yeah, no problem. Let me think back because it's such a small it's such a small community. What I know, at least from my end, I was seeing Amanda Shea on Instagram a lot just from all the other artists that I knew. I think there was this event that she was co-curating for this other artist, and I pulled up just as a supporter. I wasn't there to perform, and she was there like by the merch table, and when I walked in, I was about to introduce myself, and she was like, "Oh, I know who you are." I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "Okay," I wasn't.
Awesome.
I wasn't in my I didn't even have my Red Shaydez on, so I had this. I'll get y'all.
It's like Spider-Man without the mask.
Yes, no, seriously, y'all are not the first one to say this. I'll let you in on a little quick secret.
Yeah.
I get out of having to perform at events by not wearing my glasses because everybody knows if you come to my shows, I say, look, if you see me at an event, I don't got the glasses on, do not ask me to perform. I'm not doing it. I'm just here as a concert girl, as a fan. So when I walked in, I was like, oh, nobody asked me to perform because I'm just coming in regular. And believe it or not, right, people don't recognize me without my glasses on. I'm like, I don't look that different.
Yeah, because you can still see your eyes. It's just they on
but
there.
I think people were like getting familiar with me in like 2018, 2019. So I was getting away with like having no glasses on and going under the radar. Now, not so much. But anyway, I met her at that event. And from there was like we kept seeing each other at all these same events. So once you're in that right, those right circles,
Right.
and like I said, not cliques, but circles, the scenes here, it's inevitable. I think you're going to keep running into each other. And then obviously we formed a relationship from there. So that's how that happened.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're actually coming off a big 2020 despite the pandemic. I seen you got, or actually won Artist of the Year at the Boston Music Awards. How was that
Let's
feeling?
clap it in here for her,
Absolutely.
man. Come on.
Appreciate it.
Give her a round of applause.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I did have a big 2020 looking back at it. I'm super grateful just for everything. Like, for me, being that, like, I just wanted to see how far my music and my artistry could take me. Everything's a blessing to me because none of this, I'm still amazed today of how much I accomplished by doing what I do. Because, like I said, I'm an independent artist by choice. Like, I don't think I want the same things that my counterparts want as far as music. So for me, it's okay that I'm not on the Billboard charts, or I'm not, making a song with this person. I'm like still like just amazed by the fact that I'm doing all of this where I'm at,
Right.
So it was a big 2020. It was overwhelming in a good way. I was overwhelmed with joy, and I'm still riding high off that success. So I'm just, staying true to who I am and just being grateful.
And I think that's good to hear, because I was going to ask, how you stay consistent, but it's always through, humbleness and, staying true to like yourself and stuff like that. Because I feel like, a lot of rappers and musicians, they do go Hollywood to an extent, and they kind of lose, sight of who they are. But it's good to see, you're not pursuing anybody. It's like, if I don't make a song with this person, it's okay. I'm going to make a song by myself,
Yeah, for me, because like I said, it was always about impact for me. Honestly, I realized that I had a talent for rapping, but I've always wanted to be a teacher or an educator, and I realized that I could hide underlying like lessons in my music by way of catchy music. So that's really what it's about.
That shit hit me.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
That's what it's really about for me. So I was like, it's fine, it's cool, but I've achieved like things that other people can't say they achieved that are, quote unquote, bigger than me, so I'm good over here.
Absolutely.
I know it's definitely a satisfying feeling.
It's very satisfying too, and I listen to my fans and supporters a lot, and so it was getting to a point where they were like, you accomplished all these things, we want to hear you talk more ish. So that's why the song that I won 617 Artist of the Year at the BMAs, that was for that song. Let me go talk my ish.
Nice.
Because they wanted me to get more gully, so I was like, all right.
Right.
There we go. Talk about your accolades. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Show them the medals and shit.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps run the neck. So that's what I actually was going to ask you about, how you mix your activism within the community with your music.
You think I'm an activist?
I like to think that, you're speaking for the, you're speaking a good, that's what I say when I mean like activism. I mean, someone who's speaking up for what's right.
Yeah. How do I mix it? Again, you're going to hear this, you're going to hear me repeat this word, organic. Just, it's everything's organic. Like, I didn't like sit at a drawing board and say, all right, I'm about to start rapping, then I'm going to start mentoring kids and mentoring artists. I'm going to throw these workshops, because I throw artist workshops as well, trying to help them like how to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
It just sort of all fell into place at the same time, and I know it's divine order and divine time, and this doesn't just happen.
No, no.
You know what I'm saying?
When stuff's coming.
I
exactly.
know. I see how things are aligning. Like a lot of the struggles that I had to go through prior to this point, like they call it like beauty for your ashes and stuff like that. I'm like, I know. I'm looking like, all right now, like really?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's like my biggest thing that sets me apart from everybody else, whether in the city or just worldwide, is that I'm not only known for my music, I'm known for my community work. And this wasn't even intentional. It was like I said, I started off just volunteering at TWHT. I didn't know they were going to hire me on as an artist development, director, and working with the kids with stage presence. So I think because now the youth knows who I am, that's a whole nother ball game that other people don't have. Plus, whoever else knew about me. And because I'm sort of, I was going to say like, I feel like a lot of times with artists, it's either black or white, and I feel like I'm an artist that represents the gray area, because I'm a little bit of everything. You could find a quote-unquote activism-based song from me, but you could also find different kind of songs from me and singing songs from me.
Club music, stuff like that,
I feel that sort of broadened my landscape, if you will.
Absolutely.
That's a
Yeah.
beautiful feeling. Let me ask
Yeah.
you a question. Since you are, involved in and have your hands in so many different baskets, do you feel? I don't mean that.
No, I laugh because it's a joke within the family. They're like, "How many jobs? What jobs you working today?"
Hey man, I forgot who it was, but you need about 8 streams of income to be successful. But beyond that, do you feel like that has, by any chance, increased like pressure on you for like your social responsibility?
Absolutely.
Because now you're a public figure.
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that too. And so, like I was explaining, that's why I often have like these internal battles, because I feel like I give so much of myself to the world that it sucks out energy from me. And I think I need to do a better job at pouring as much energy I give to the world into myself. So, at the start of 2021, that was my biggest goal, was to achieve what I achieved professionally, personally. And so that means doing sound therapy, aromatherapy, declining certain events, knowing when it's too much, because I do so much on a day-to-day basis. I have to know when I'm overextending myself, and when I start to feel really overwhelmed, I get out of alignment and I can act in ways that are not conducive to who I stand for and who I actually am. So I know when it's like, all right, I'm feeling a little low, let me step away. I can't do this event. I'm laying low this week. Like, next week I'm looking forward to like being able to chill.
Right.
This last month was kind of like really busy for me.
Busy's good. Busy's good.
It's good.
Stay busy.
But everything is about balance, right? So like you have
I'm
to.
a Libra, so
Me too.
There you go.
Absolutely, balance is important. But
There you
I often want to remind people that I'm human and I
Yeah.
make mistakes. So like when it comes to social responsibility, that's why I stress the multidimensional, person, like that's okay. I can, fight for rights, but also like strippers. You know what I'm saying? That's
good.
okay.
That's
Both
a
can be
perfect
true.
way to balance
Like,
that.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
There's a time and a place for everything. You
Yeah,
know?
I'm just
Absolutely.
saying, like, and not saying that that's the case, but just saying, like, if I wanted, like, I could do that.
No, yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
fine.
And I think it's cool that you mentioned that you're like, you said the kids know your name, because
Right.
that's because if that generation already knows you, they're going to know you forever because you got to them, at that young age. But what we're seeing now is, well, we aren't even seeing that. We aren't even seeing, people in the music industry, give these ideas and these thoughts into like these kids' heads, like you can be great and stuff like that. And shout out Jeff Pena, but he also mentioned how, he runs a stock business and people don't give the advice that he gives because of like self-greed and stuff like that.
They want to see you good, but not better than them.
Right,
kind of
exactly that
Exactly.
type of thing.
When I'm
So why is
competition, it's a problem.
Yeah, so why is it so different for you that you're like, no, these kids should know. These kids should know, they can be great. They can be on these platforms.
I think my motto was always be for them who I wish I had when I was younger. Like, we needed more
Damn.
of those. You know what I mean?
That's
we
some
needed.
Motivation Mondays.
Yeah, we
that.
needed. I would have loved to have a program like that when I was younger, and thankfully, my parents were super supportive of me and bought me all this equipment. I had mics and mix boards and all that type of stuff. But it would have been so dope to have, art in the schools. They took away art and music
Big time.
from the schools by the time I was in high school. So like one of my English teachers used to feel so bad for us because we didn't really have an outlet. So she would let us like dress up and do drama and all this type of stuff in her class. So if I would have had that, there's no telling what would have happened, but I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And so when it comes to the kids, that's what I sort of try to envision, because it's not about competition for me. And it's, like you said, it's very satisfying hearing like a kid say, it was because of so-and-so why I was able to do this. So what's happening is that some of our kids that have graduated from previous classes of TWHT, they're artists in the community.
That's
that
awesome.
They remember me and the rest of the staff members there, and they're like, yo, this is family. I learned everything here from them, so it's dope.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. And that's how you.
Wow.
Wow. Like,
That is dead cool.
I need you to say that one more time.
One more time, my motto is to be the person that I wish I had when I was younger.
Damn.
Be the role model.
Absolutely.
And
And you touched on a lot of subjects there, obviously being who you wanted to be when you were younger, but also the schools not having creative anything, and I feel like especially from, I didn't think of this when I was in high school. You know, when I would always have a music class, I was like, oh, you know, music class.
I don't want to play the flute.
Exactly, that type of thing. But, you know, looking back as now as someone who's, you know, diving into the creative field, talking to people like that, it's like, well, I would have liked to have that because who knows if I would have been good at it.
Exactly. And another thing that I didn't even mention is like, also these kids get paid to be in the hip hop transformation. So you're pretty much, before we even got that chance, you're getting to see what it's like to get paid for your art. Because a lot of people don't think that there's money in art.
And that's also a big tool to teach someone younger because A, like you said, they don't think there's that much money when there is, but B, it's also how you can manage your mindset as you're getting paid.
So we try to teach them the game. So it's not just about recording, writing music, and dancing and producing. It's like, it's also about financial literacy. You know, the difference between being a major artist and an independent artist. Either way, you got to start off independent in this day's age. So you might as well learn the business. You know, so that's where I come in, and I like to even teach, you know, adults like, yo, this is how the independent game works. You know.
Let me ask you a question. What are the prerequisites for somebody to be part of this program that you're in the board of?
Yeah, so with TWHT, it's funded through the mayor's youth program in Cambridge. So to get paid from them, I know that you have to be a part of the mayor's youth program and be from Cambridge, but people outside of Cambridge can join the program as well. And so the prerequisites are pretty much, you know, have an interest in music, and, you know, I think they have to be the ages 13 to 18. That's as far as I know.
Okay.
I don't really take part in the vetting process.
Gotcha.
But whoever they give to us, we're like, hey, what's up?
What's up?
Going on?
What you all about?
Now, do these kids come in with stuff already, or do you kind of teach them? Like, obviously, you teach them the business, but I'm saying to teach them, like, how to make their creative process.
So we get... we have a plethora of kids that some of them come in already knowing everything, and they just want to, as they say it, I'm quoting them, cook up.
Right.
We get some of them where they're like, we don't know anything. Like, we're here, you know, I have an interest in music. I want to try to write some bars. I want to try to produce, but I have no idea. So we do that as well because we have Lightfoot Beats. He's the head audio engineer over there, and he also is a producer. So he'll work with the kids and help them cook up, and then I'll come in and help, you know, people that are trying to write bars and also write like songs. That's another thing. Like, I write R&B music. So
nice.
we have a lot of singers. So if they need help finishing a song, like, that's what I do. And that's something that comes easy to me. So I love doing that. So if they're like, hey, Red, we need help here writing this song. They write a lot about love and stuff like that. So that's how it usually happens. Before the pandemic, it was in person, so it was cool to sort of be in that type of space with the music
and
blasting.
know who you're working with,
but
and know
now,
what they know.
Yeah, but now sort of like we're in breakout rooms on Zoom and stuff like that.
That is dope.
Yeah.
That is dope. You also help to like make beats and stuff like that, or is it mostly on the songwriting performance art aspect of things?
Me or the program?
The program.
So no, beats is a big part of what they help. So like I said, Lightfoot, he works alongside all the kids that produce or want to produce, and they cook up in, like, I hear them talk about Logic, Soundtrap, and Cubase, stuff like that. Yeah.
And it's also teaching the kids the programs too. It's like, you want them to cook up, and obviously, but it's like, well, you got to know the programs first.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's another thing in schools that they're not teaching kids is the actual programs that they're going to have to use. Because a lot of kids are technologically challenged nowadays, and you kind of don't want that as much as this generation is going into technology, because who knows if that's preventing them from getting a career.
Exactly. You're very right about that. And one thing I want to point out that was a highlight of having the program virtually is that they all learned how to record themselves using a mobile recording studio. There's another Cambridge company called Archetype, and they created this device called Aspire, and that serves as a mic that it does its own sound check, and you can adjust your levels, and then there's an app that goes with it. So we were having the kids learn how to lay down their vocals and then send them to the head engineer and then mix the songs. So, you know, before that, it was like they didn't even know how to lay down vocals and what it meant. We taught them, no, stack them up like this, your chorus is over here, like do that. So now they're a little bit more self-sufficient because now they know how to record.
Right.
Yo, and going back to like the learning the software, it can be intimidating to look at them because you see all these different knobs. You don't know what the heck a reverb does, what the heck a compressor does.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I feel like most of them do this a same thing, but they just look different. So it's kind of like just knowing what is essential for what you want to do, because there's just so many unlimited things you can do in one of those, like what they call them DAWs, like digital audio something.
Working station. Yeah, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, workstation.
And I just got to say, you know, before we go into shout out seconds and stuff like that, that was amazing what you just said about how you're teaching kids like that and stuff like that. Because when I think of Boston, you know, I think of the creative side of it, because like I've said on multiple times, we're not a city that's known for that, but we're slowly getting into that. And I think the biggest reason we're getting into that is with people like you who are giving back to the kids in the community, who are growing the next wave of Boston creatives. Because we've talked to a lot of creatives, they just, you know, they don't gloss over that fact. They just, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, we're an upcoming city, this, that, and the other thing. But, you know, like yourself, Amanda Shea, you know, educating the youth.
The future. They're the future, not us.
Exactly.
Our time's
like
about to be out of here. Like
exactly. Like that's the thing with generations is, you know, when your time is now and how it's going to map out towards the end. But you're like, well, I can't allow this creative side to go away just because, you know, I'm maybe retiring or going away myself. I need to start
prepping the next.
Prepping, exactly.
Yep.
But yeah, that's because, like I said, you know, you don't hear about that in the city. You know, I wish and I hope, you know, more of the youth hears this and, you know, gets inspired to come and talk to you and your company, because that is just the best thing I've ever heard. You know, I can't stress that enough. But yeah, let's go in the shout out second. Who you want to shout out this week, Amanda? Amanda. Oh my God.
It's all right.
I be talking
I
so
told,
fast.
I told you he
sorry.
didn't have his coffee.
That's what I'm saying. I botchamania that. Oh my goodness. Red. Get that right.
Who would I like to shout out?
Yeah. Who you got to shout out this week?
I would like to shout out the creative community in Boston. Like to
Amen.
shout out, you know what I'm saying? Everybody out there doing their thing that was able to, you know, pivot and that have new projects coming out. Obviously, I want to shout out TWHT. That's the homies. And you know, all my peoples, like I can't be naming one by one because I'm gonna forget and somebody call it.
That's all right. That's why we generalize.
You didn't say.
Yeah. You gotta generalize. You gotta make sure.
Everybody that rock with me.
Yeah, I covered all bases.
Yes, yeah.
I covered all bases. Mike, my brother.
First and foremost, God, thank you for another day. Thank you for another opportunity
Amen,
to do
amen.
this. Shout out to the team, A's and Spirit. Shout out Pete. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys. Shout out to Red, man. The aura is definitely magnetic. I was here sitting next to her, and I had to keep holding the table so she doesn't hold me closer. You know, but no, she has really good energy. She's here trying to be the change that she wished she saw. So shout out to you. The best of luck, and I'm in your corner to see you in the journey.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate both of you.
Absolutely. And again, I got to shout out Red this week. You know, like we said earlier, just found you on Instagram. Like, well, you know what? That's a perfect guest to have this week. Oh, real quick, I did want to ask you this though. So you said you was featured on MTV and NPR, correct?
Yeah.
On your set. How did that come about?
Oh, great! That's funny. Somebody just asked me this question
Yeah, because
yesterday.
I was like, I know I gotta ask you. I was like, that was it. Yeah.
I'm glad. All right, so MTV, I was one of my songs was featured on X on the Beach. It was a TV series. How that came about was via sync licensing. That's something I'm not sure if a lot of independent artists know is a great avenue to get income.
Right.
Ended up, shout out to Alfie. He's a producer based in Boston, but now he moved to LA, and he did this beat, and he reached out to me like a year before this happened and was just like, can you make a song to this alternative like hip hop song that I made? He was like, you don't even have to go by your name, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. So the music library company that he was producing for, they loved the record, but they was like, can you make a few little changes, whatever, and make sure the chorus is repetitive? Cool. Submitted it to them, forgot about it. A year goes by, right? A year goes by, and I was updating my website, chillinonshade.com, shameless plug. And
I was gonna say, we asked you to plug yourself. So.
Yeah, so I went to go update it. So I have Google Alerts, what you call it, like I have the alerts.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, Red Shaydez new alert came to my inbox, and it was like, oh, MTV soundtrack, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I didn't get no calls. I'm like, what happened? So I'm like, did somebody steal my name? And I'm trademarked too. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
I was like, I was pissed.
I'm about to get a bag
right?
in court.
So then I go and look. I'm a really good researcher. I go and look up this stuff. I find the page that says Soundtrack MTV, and it says Red Shaydez plays when Marie walks to Devon. And I'm like, who? So I go on my TV. I find that episode. It says season 3, episode 12. Never forgot. I'm fast forward, and I hear my voice. And then after, my heart drops because I'm like, just a little fun fact. That's my biggest goal as an independent artist is I wanted to hear my song in a TV show or a movie.
That's
right?
awesome.
So I'm like Isham Briggs, right? So when I heard my voice, my name comes across the screen.
Oh, that's right, because they do who, yeah.
So
wow.
I start. This is at the end of 2019. It's almost about to be 2020, and I call him Alfie, and I'm like, "Yo, we're on MTV." So that's how that happened. You can only imagine how that. So that you could find that like on my page and stuff on my website. NPR, I'm featured in a few articles from them. What happens is, and a lot of people don't know, that's why you got to get tapped in. We have a lot of great journalists here in the community and in the city, and they don't only write for the local outlets, but they also have national coverage as well. And so they were doing an article on the DIY culture here in the city and the lack of spaces that we have as well as the spaces that we do have. And they decided to feature me in that, as well as there was another article too that they did like a series of articles on just like the creative arts community here. And you want to be one of the people that people think of when they're like, all right, who are some of the people you should know and speak to and get, some words from. So gratefully so, I'm featured in a lot of articles. People joke every week I'm in another one. So that's
another one.
Another one. Yeah. So it's just great because there was a time where I didn't have any press at all. So
right. Well, I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, absolutely. That's an amazing story.
That's the aura.
Yeah.
Legit. And I think that's a good way to go out, honestly. But so I got to shout out Red Shaydez once again. Thank you for coming. Mike, as always, it's a pleasure, my brother. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Hey, I know you in spirit, dog. Get well, get better. Keep going on those comedy shows. To everyone else, thank y'all for tuning in on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever the hell you want to find podcasts.
Where can they find you real quick?
I was going to say, where can they find you?
Everybody listen up. You can find me on every social media platform at Red Shaydez 1. That's RedShaydez and the number 1. And my website is chillingintheshade.com. No G.
That's .com. That's not .com. That's .com.
Where can they find you, bro?
Bro, REPETE going back to back like Shaq and Kobe 617.
You can find me on Instagram, Mike.Sanchez. That's SANCHEZZ. That's 3 Z, so they can stop sleeping.
And y'all can find the pod, say_that_pod on IG, and just say that podcast on YouTube. No exclamation point, because I guess YouTube don't allow exclamation points. But oh well. But
whatever.
And for the drop one time, don't say this.
Say that.